Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Hi Vivek. Thank you so much for joining in.
Hi, Vimanyu.
Superb. So today's sessions, is kind of special because of the person we have. It's a great pleasure to host you, Vivek. It's an honor, and your 21 years of service in defense is very inspiring. Thanks for serving the nation. I'll start with a quick introduction of yours, folks. Vivek. Have been an Indian naval officer with, I think, more than 22 decades of service, and also, of course, part of Scalar community. Vivek, many people in your batch, I remember in the past, they took your name as the the most sharp and the most hardworking person in the batch. Dr. Dar, I'm not sure if you remember him from your batch. He mentioned that Vivek is the best person in our batch. And briefly, I will cover your journey for everyone. So Vivek started his association with defense services and through his education at Sainik School, got into National Defense Academy, then joined Indian Navy as an officer. Became a commanding officer over years. I was going through your LinkedIn, Vivek. It's very interesting to see that how very early on you discovered that data analysis could play a huge role in the defense systems as well. Something as people would not be able to relate, but finding a torpedo is also something where data analysis could improve the system so much more accuracy, much more safety. And then I think over years you kept doubling down on that. And now coming to the career transition, these are not the career transitions that are very common, but recently you transitioned from Indian Navy to Larsen and Toubro to head their defense systems. So congratulations on that. I'm sure you would continue making even bigger impact on nation security, if not inside armed forces, but from outside. Over to you. I think a long monologue from my side, but your journey has so much to share, so I couldn't help. But over to you, if you could give us, a walkthrough of your journey, would be very interesting to hear from you how you see data sciences, AI, ML impacting defense systems, not just in India but globally. But to begin with, would love to just hear from you about your journey first.
Okay, thank you very much, Abhimanyu. I understand you have done an analysis on my data science over my career also by finding out what all I have done via LinkedIn also. Coming to the overall thought process, as Ms. Tanisha also has asked me initially how I've gone about it. You have briefly told about my career, how it has proceeded. I would say that I have done NDA in 2001, completed it, joined submarines, which is very specialized arm in 2005. Took over as weapon officers 2009. It's again a very specialized art, firing weapons out of all the specializations in the submarine arm. Then took over as executive officer. And while I was commanding submarines, I should say from 2017 onwards, I have experience of 3 commands. One is Sindhuvir when I was commanding. It was a proper major refit. Then it came to Scorpions, which was a training in France, where they used data, a lot of data, which we were trying to understand how they are using it for various machine learning, various AI inbuilt, very complex modules which they make. And subsequently, when I was commanding Sindhu Vijay, I realized data plays a very important role. And we never had a formalized training on it. We always worked as a decision makers, taking data as our conjecture in our brain with our precedences or the history, but there's no formalized way of functioning. So I happened to join initially. I spoke to officers, they were senior admirals. They said upgrade is very good. So I joined upgrade. One instructor of mine who taught me Python for briefly 2 months, because I was slowly getting attracted toward this subject, he told me to join Scalar. So
Very
after
interesting.
joining upgrade, I paid a fee of, I should say a faltering fee, and switched over to Scalar. And I was very much impressed by Scalar, the way you have actually got the whole subjects scheduled. I'll not compare between upgrade and scalar. My chart is not this, but I have to leave it because it was very monotonous when I started upgrade for a month. When I actually uh, switched over to scalar, I really found it quite interesting. And every alternate day there was online session, doubt clearing session. Then we had mentors, and luckily we got a group which I never revealed I'm a naval officer, because they would have really separated me from their small group. So I always behaved like a student with them, but really worked hard, because going into coding and all, it is slightly difficult. But I picked up coding, then subsequently how the courses actually progressed. Product analytics was a new subject which was really nicely introduced. What is the perception of individual, or how to market, how to get the value, how to do a proper analysis of a system when it is a product. It was a very interesting topic, apart from the overall journey which we are going through, the Python visualization and hypothesis testing and all these things. I realized that we all do in submarines also the same thing in Excel format or so, trying to analyze data. Like, let's take about the machinery data, sonar data, but not formulating it, which I happen to understand data science. And subsequently, if you see, you would have seen my LinkedIn post. I've almost posted 17 posts, around 17, in various manner. In somewhere I told about sonar, that sonar can be used, data from sonar can be used in AI. And that line was picked up by the, I should say, defense head, overall, and he called me for an interview when I was doing a short course in IM. And he was quite impressed. Thereon the journey started. But I should say that it is not on the name or fame they take anybody in the management role. There was a rigorous schedule of interviews, incremental in nature, including KPMG consultants who are outside the Larsen and Toubro, who took various combinations of interview, whether it's group discussion, individual interview, then mail session. And they found it that I have got knack towards data driven is one specialization they are looking at, decision making. And luckily I could project my skills learned from Scalar on it. And I was hired at a good position out here, where various teams are reporting to me for developing a very niche technology, that is a combat management system. It is a system which is a heart or core of processors, which takes the data from sensors and give output to the weapons using various data. It's slightly confidential because there's a lot of competition in the field. And this is how my small journey is. Yeah.
No, very inspiring, Vivek. Maybe I would probe you a little bit on your very early days when you started, your as a young officer in Navy, and
Yeah.
I was through details of, what work you were doing in when you transitioned as an analysis officer in the very beginning of your career. What, like, as much I have, in my family and friend circle, defense officers, this intersection of two different skill sets often becomes very powerful, right? uh, so I would probe you, a little bit on that how did that start? How did you, as a young naval officer, how did you start thinking in this direction, that a lot of data analysis can make processes and systems much more efficient?
Very rightly brought out. You have analyzed my career a lot, it seems to me. I forgot that part. I uh, happened to be a weapon officer, and seeing my acumen, they posted me for a role which is called analysis officer in submarine headquarters. So in that role, again, I found that data playing a very important aspect, where various policies are defined for an operations and the efficiencies of the submarine at sea, metal efficiencies. So where we had enough, data running through, whether it is the ops deployment. Now, there are some technical terms. I don't know whether the forum will understand or not. That there's something called indiscretion rates of the submarine, where how much are you at surface or somewhere at periscope depth, which is detrimental to a submarine. Uh, how to reduce it. So we take a lot of data of our operations, and then we analyze over all the submarines of Indian Navy, and then project it via some visualizations through Excel, advanced Excel. We did some of them, and a report is produced in front of the naval headquarters, that how we can increase the efficiency of the submarine, whether it is the machinery equipments, diesel, whether it is towards the as I have told you, indiscretion rate, or the weapon firing of the torpedoes, or the sensor data. All these data get analyzed and we visualize it. After visualization, we bring it out what could be the means and method of increasing the efficiencies of the submarines at sea, reducing the cost. So that I realized when I spoke to Flag Officer Submarine shortly, sir, there are a lot of things we can do. And he took some inputs about Power BI, Tableau, where we can visualize it much better manner. And there where I gave input, sir, we can use Python also. So again, it depends how much it can be, shown and interpreted. But it is good that we are improving from normal Excel to various good visualization technique. And I would love that we get Seaborn also a library being subsequently used in naval atmosphere.
So I had another follow-up question again, picked up from something that you shared just a while back, Vivek. You had led the mission for a joint exercise with France with the set of Navy personnel, and you mentioned that even there you noticed that how much data analytics, machine learning, etc., is being used by the French Navy.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I understand that there might be certain details which might be confidential, but would be very curious to know about that. That what were the learnings that you had during the joint operations with the French Navy?
See, the French Navy, since I have been trained in France for 8 months, they have got a extreme, data-oriented objectives where they use, like, how do I say, various sensors are there. The sensors supposedly have got a dual system where it get published over a dual system, and that dual system subsequently subscribes to the weapon system. So that architect which we found and learned in France, uh, how to use which data and which is the priority data. Like, it is going a little bit complicated, but now the technology is such that one is multi-sensor fusion which we have. That means submarine has got various sensors, and you fuse the data. You get a data from sonar, periscope, radar. There are various inputs. Like, I'll tell you in short for the forum. It's like a human being where you have various input sensors. One is eyes, one has ears, one is nose, one is skin. These are input sensors, and brain is the processor. The processor is the kind of any computer where you have a processors, and there's the output. Output is the tongue, or what you write, what are you speaking. So we happen to do the same thing where data sensors were being used, prioritized it, and there was a processing done with various priority of the radar. Like, suppose if there's a high FCR radar, that radar will have more priority over us, surveillance radar or sonar, and the periscope, which is from the visual, will have the most priority. That priority takes over, confirms the data, and the weapon is been established. Weapon is depending on the target. The target is a fast moving target, then it is aircraft, it is a slow moving target, there could be a submarine, a moving target, I mean to say. And there could be a maneuvering aspect. So if you want to maneuver and intercept a place, so it's slightly complicated, but you will find this kind of architect in the France. With various data, they will establish it and then fuse it, and subsequently have a weapon associated with it, or some kind of maneuvering capability of the submarine established by intercepting it. This is multi-sensor. Similarly, we have multi-platform where you can establish any data from a other platform and subsequently give it to the, it is a complete network-centric operation warfare where you're using data from other, confirming it, and weapon is launched from your platform. Similarly, sensor can be established from your submarine or your platform, and the weapon can be launched from the other. So there is a AI also involved into it, which we have not gone into it. There is an aspect where you can see an aircraft and identify that which kind of aircraft it is, instead of going by a periscope. So there is AI also being acting upon it. Slowly from visualization, we have got electro-optics also. So it is slightly going advanced, where you are going infrared and finding out with the aspect which kind of ship is there, and automatically you identify and what kind of weapon should be established to a ship. So this what we learned, and we are slowly trying to make for advance, trying to incorporate what advanced navies have got using AI ML, our own computers and the weapon launch systems.
Right, right. And maybe just a curious question, and of course, all my questions and to the audience as well. That please feel free to correct me or the audience on the questions if it is something confidential that could not be shared. Uh,
Yeah.
but my curious question was that even in our country's defense forces, how much do you see these advanced technologies being used? What I find very fascinating is that often many of the learners, and like I can say it for myself as well, that when we are learning a concept, sometimes the mapping that where all it can be used is also not very clear. uh, but it's fascinating that a data science concept, knowledge of let's say a machine learning algorithm, etc., could even be playing a role in protecting the nation. So my curious question is that how many of these are also being used by our Indian Navy as of today?
It is used right now. Uh, like the team which we have is one complete software development team who is using data, and it is combination of ML ops and DevOps. So
Right.
they are developing it, and there is also ML ops which is used for the machine learning, and also the AI. A bit of AI is still not come into play that much as we show in various e-commerce sites and all. Yes, there are there, but it is kept very confidential.
Okay.
Notwithstanding that, the data, what I realized was always there, but it used to go in a back of mind, and there was no pattern which is being generated. But
Right.
with the present stature, we are trying to have the historical data and develop a pattern. And if you are developing a pattern, then most of the how we bring out in hypothesis testing and all, the same thing we realize that key, it is very important that we don't work on the just one. You take out historical data, you will find things are repeating,
Right.
and it is big time used. Now how it is used, it is a bit technical. So we have a complete team which is developing. Like I'm a head of a complete CMS, so we have a 15 software engineers. Still we are hiring. Again, it's a very competitive field. It doesn't just you qualify into the hiring procedure. There's a team who is reporting to me, and also there's a marketing team which is there, and also the one design team, marketing team, and one is project management group who is developing all these things. So I would say that yes, you have to understand the architecture. It's not just by learning this it happens. You have to project yourself, and the effort is every day. It is not a single day. They see you, they grill you. I've seen interview happening. One of my junior also itself is taking a, and he doesn't leave. You have to prove yourself. It doesn't go on face. So yes, it is a big time effort, and also the inclination attitude is being seen.
Right.
How the person is actually into it, and how much is he able to learning. The sincerity is being checked. What is attitude? Everybody cannot be experienced guy. Finally, somebody has to be fresher who will become experienced, and every experience was a fresher sometime. So that I've been seeing how he's interviewing. That is a separate part. But I have a complete 15 team, and plus not 15 under one more head who is reporting to me as a designer. I don't go too detailed, but wherever there is a problem, there is a consultants. We keep resolving it. It needs some kind of effort. There are various levels in the system designer also how they are going from a DevOps team, and there is a MLOps team also who gives consulting role, and there are scientists also at various levels to support. So it's a very niche thing which is being developed. Uh, that's what I like to say. I will not
Uh,
divulge what all happening from where all we get data, but there are things which are competitive in nature happening.
right, right. Of course, of course. Vivek, just a comparison. So when you were the commanding officer, you were probably managing a large team of 2,000 plus officers and personals, deploying submarines, and now you have moved on and entered the corporate, right, where you are managing again a large team, but in a different, very different structure, very different goals. Um, while it's pretty early, I'm sure that there will be many more interesting experiences of corporate that uh, you will have in the coming years. But in this early phase, how do you compare your time with Navy versus the time in corporate now?
Yeah, this is a very challenging and good question. Sometimes I miss, sometimes I find it different, challenging from the naval atmosphere to the corporate. In Navy, we had missions and operations as our primary role. I'll be telling you frankly, and we could, uh, known for our professionalism and how much can you drive men. This, as you brought out, 2,000 personnel are there were four commanding officers who were reporting for the benefits, and they were individually commanding the submarine. So it was around 350 people under each submarine command. That's how they were reporting. So I was managing the roles of any issues which the submarine is facing, or any operational issues, material issues for going to sea, or any tactical issues. So yes, men is a very important thing when it comes to forces, where you can drive them. They can even lay down their life for you. So man management is a very very important talisman, where Samdan, Bhedbhav, everybody has its key, where you have to operate with its key and get it going. Empathy is a very important role which it plays. But I find in corporate also the same thing. Only thing is the corporate I found main thing is, I should say, apart from customer satisfaction, whatever you call is the profit generation, or you say dhanda chalana. I'll be telling you very frankly, that is the main objective. It is good because we never have thought from defense point of view to generate profits or the value to the work or the product. Finally, it is having the same role, or develop more market. But if your product is good, if it is branded, obviously the market will grow. Notwithstanding, when I met my boss, first thing he told me that he's also developed that he's a technocrat. He's a algorithm of BrahMos, FCS and all, super technically sound. He can tell you the IC to everything. Almost 25 years. Then he also told me the same thing, Vivek. Finally, technical is not everything. You have to get techno manager kind of thought process, where the management plays a role, where you have to manage the technical guys, and somewhere the management attitude or aspects are being seen, and finally how you run the business. So that is one good thing, and he told me, and I realized, yes, that is not only the thing, but overall how you develop a, like I'll tell you, in Larsen and Toubro or the Tatas, you'll find the personnel are not paid very very heavily, but they are attached to the company for years and years. Why do they do that? It is not that the company only has one role. They give you such a good customers, I should say employee satisfaction policies are there, that nobody goes and leave. I'm very because I've seen people working for 25 to 30 years, and everybody cannot be promoted, everybody cannot be given very high hikes. But the work culture is so good, work-life balance is there, and you'll realize this what is also there in defense. So if you have a company who has this kind of thought process, where very employee centric, it makes a lot of difference, because then people don't leave and go. Because in one or classes I heard in Python or some other, where it was told that 5 times of payment is done if you have to reskill someone. So it is not good for someone to just round change over. So that is one good part which I'm finding in Larsen and Toubro, that it is giving me a feeling of defense, though it is not totally operational. It has all business role. Nobody runs for free, but that business is generated with a lot of customer and employee satisfaction as a main objectives. It is good that I'm learning all these things, and also trying to know whatever in defense I've seen it. I'm trying to, execute it out here. And it's almost only a 1 week, but I've gone into a lot of business meets. And from the day one, you have to produce result, or at least establish yourself. That's what I'm seeing, and they expect decisions from you, and that will come with the experience, which luckily being in forces I had. And how to handle men and the management is important, rather than getting in too much technicalities at the leadership roles or the management roles. That's all.
I totally resonate, Vivek, that the reason why the Tata and the L&T, the companies have withstood the test of time over decades and almost century rather. Uh, is the culture and the care for the team they have exhibited. And I think again, even the newer companies that are being formed, only those which imbibe similar culture, care for the people who contribute. Because as they often say, that it's not the salary that holds people in an organization;
It's not the salary.
it's how they are treated is what holds them in an organization. So fantastic! They're very, very insightful and great to hear that. Just while it's a very short time that we have spent at LNT, you are already finding it a great place to be. Uh, I would love to maybe touch upon. I couldn't share this earlier, but you are also YSM medal awardee, Youth Seva medal, and which is, I know how big a deal it is.
Yeah.
While I'm sure that the operational details you might not be able to share, but I think everyone would be very curious to know about, some of like these intense operations, where definitely the environment will be very tense, because these are missions which are very, very critical, and it could go anywhere. Uh, what have been the mental state? How do you lead men in such situations? Because in corporate, the worst might be that the project is not functioning as it should. But in the defense missions, it's a very different ball game. Could
Yeah.
you tell us the state of mind when you are leading such missions with a large team?
Fine, Abhimanyu. I thought this will be more toward data science, but it is getting into my career vintage. But it's fine if it has been, uh, okay. It is a part of, overall journey. Coming to Youth Seva Medal, it is a very niche operation which was done. Unlike many of would have seen fighter movie where a lot of aeroplanes were flying and a lot of things were shown after the post Pulwama as a Balakot operation, but there were a lot of submarines also who were lurking down off Pakistan. It is classified against secret operations. There were a nuclear submarine with missiles. We were there, a conventional submarine, and this is open news and probably there in my LinkedIn also. It came in the paper also. That our targets were land attack targets, a very strategic targets for Pakistan, and we had our land attack missions. And the problem is what happens when there is a conflict, then there is no go situation. In the sense, you cannot come back saying that now I have a problem. You have to solve it at sea yourself. You are the decision maker there. A platform itself is more than 3,000 crores. And when it comes to nuke, it is at least 3 to 4 times. So uh, uh, with land attack missiles, with more than 300 kilometers ranges, their ranges and all are quite potent for any target. If the wing commander wouldn't have come, Abhinandan, then they were really Diwali, I should say, was already being planned. Though it all went, our stealth is our strength, so we don't divulge as a submariners what all were being done under carpet. So it happened that we had an operation of 25 days. Thereafter, suddenly this Pulwama happened, and we were supposed to redeploy ourselves towards that frontiers of the coast of Pakistan. I should say North Arabian Sea. And during that, uh, these submarines are old. It is very difficult to stay for long deployments down below. Yes, that now I'll try to correlate data how I was managing and how we were, working and trying to reduce our defects at sea. Uh, Post some loading of land attack missiles, we went to the frontiers and then happened to deploy for long. It was around 40 days more. So if a person has to sustain for 65 to 70 days underwater without light sunlight, without a fresh food, without an atmosphere where he is able to take bath, it becomes challenging. It's become challenging because it becomes hallucinating for a person to sustain long underwater, and there's no, hope for people to come back, or come back in the sense what date are we returning, because that you'll find people under your command or the sailors will be asking, sir, kab jayenge, and there is no coming back, or there is no indication when is the things going to stop. So it went on long for days, and you are having various defects which are coming. So to sustain for such a long, it needs a combined activity of men, material with same objective and mission. psychologically everybody should get tuned. So to push them or get results of them and be vigilant throughout day and night, saving your own platform, be ready for the mission, you have to be very, very, it requires the management of that nature, I would say, where you're driving people. And also the defects. The defects were such in nature that we had, I would surely tell one or two, which was very much acknowledged within our naval fraternity, that suppose you had a periscope which has got infrared. Infrared is something which can find things at night with black and white kind of shade. So all the operations we are generally end up doing in the night, where we are not visible to everyone. You cannot be underwater. You have to keep popping up yourself and seeing for the the targets or what are the movements happening. So you have to be vigilant. But if infrared scopes are down, then it becomes slightly difficult to detect the target. So one of the periscope was down, which was US made, which has the input of 60 hertz. So if a 60 hertz periscope has to have input, it's slightly technical in nature, but I'll just explain. You have only 50 hertz alternators for powering up the submarine. So you don't have the repair, defect, I should say, materials to employ that periscope or re-energize it. And if you don't have a periscope which can find things in the night, then you are at danger. You might be detected, you might be surfaced, you might be, have depth charges, you might, you can become a national embarrassment. So now I sat with the team, discussed a lot of brainstorming, which has brought out in our sessions of Scalar also, that brainstorming plays a very important role when there is a problem. It is not the individual. So my electrical officer, I would not name him, but he came out with an idea, sir, why not we'll give a 50 hertz alternator supply to 60 hertz. It can bugger up a system of crores and crores, but a decision of such nature and with inputs, with the confidence of the team, we tried out. Now, if somebody can understand what I mean is, there is a tolerance level. I'm an executive officer operation, but you should know technically what is he speaking. So V1 F1 is equal to V2 F2 is some kind of technical, thing which you would have learned in our younger ages or 11, 12, where an alternator supply of 50 hertz, your tolerance of voltage vis-a-vis frequency is being matched with the consumer, which is of voltage and frequency. And 50 hertz alternator is supplying a 60 hertz, consumer of a periscope, US made, and we were continuing with the 25 days of further operations with that. Similarly, there were so many things defects, and we were pulling ourselves, trying to complete and not leave the mission, instead of saying that thank you boss, we are coming back. That we didn't show, and that happens when there is a drive from the top. No, we'll not go back. Find out the solution. We have to do it. And I'll tell you, no computer, no AI, ML can do this. The human brain only can drive people with a technical, total creative solutions. So, but obviously, this can give you a decision-making tool or helping. But when the main decision-making comes of the heavy finances and where the human lives are involved, the final, human will be ruling the world, I'll say. Whatever AML. So there where we took a call that this will be the thought process where we will do this kind of thing, and we powered up. Like that, there were a lot of things, like we were supposed to fire the missiles. This was the orders. We didn't have our, nav complex working because of, heating up. Then the transistors were changed. You'll see that ICs were changed. You have to do out of the box thinking. If your thought process is there, no, I'll not go back. I will drive myself, and I'll drive the men. And your attitude starts percolating the men, and they also comes with such innovative solutions which is not there in the normal parlance or the text or the previous history. And that's how the innovations keep happening. And we sustained the operation for long, till the time we were being demanded, or the nation demanded us. That's how it was recognized, and people in the team were awarded on the spot. And subsequently, I was also given Youth Seva Medal, gallantry act of this nature. That's all. And I would tell my young learners also same thing. Everyday effort should be there. It is not that you are looking for result and demoralize yourself. Result will automatically come.
Right.
Fine. Continue.
No, thank you so much. And Vivek, as you mentioned, that it's in everyday life as well. Persistence and not letting small setbacks hold you back. I think this is an emotion that almost all of the young learners go through, even in their career journey.
Yeah.
There might be an interview where you got rejected. There might be a topic that you are finding it hard to learn. But I think key is that you keep putting effort every day, and there's no one in the world who kept putting some effort every day and didn't succeed. Uh,
Very true. Very true.
so very, very
Very
inspiring. And my reason to press on that a little bit was also to just kind of derive these parallels, because often these situations create examples which are very, very impactful for day-to-day life as well. Uh, some more tactical questions from some of the learners. Rushabh has asked a question that maybe I'll pick up. Of course, for all of us, your transition, your first, of course, your service for decades, and your transition is very fascinating. Uh, Rushabh's question is that two parts. One is, I'll take the second part first, that in your in what would you suggest for a young person making a career in data science? What should be the key pillars to their learning? What kind of skills, what kind of thinking process, what kind of attitude should they focus on?
okay. Very rightly brought out. See, yeah, as I told that key, like for the learners which presently we are in, uh, like how you brush your teeth every day, there has to be, this is my thought process, and I find it is quite interesting. There should be one time which is of yours, one place to develop the concentration. That means if you're studying, it is a body clock. If you want to, whichever is the concentration of the day of your body clock, like some people love to learn, study in the morning, somebody likes to learn in the evening. Let's take my concentration is 6 to 8 in the evening. That time should be my own. That time I should sit in one corner, that is called to develop a concentration or meditation, whatever we call it. And at that time, I have to daily do it. There is no naga. You continuously do it, you will slowly start improving. Whether they say that every day you're supposed to do coding. Now, there are various means and ways to do. People in Scalar, the instructors have been always telling, like, I did in IIM Mumbai, which was liked by a lot. They told to take some data set from Kaggle. And in fact, in Scalar also, they have told to take data set and from Kaggle and do some kind of, you know, ML models. They wanted just one visualization in Power BI, but then I made complete machine learning model thanks to Scalar. Uh, it in the machine learning model, the cyber crimes were being discussed, how to relocate, how to, it was complete supervised learning. We had a target variable, the way it was being taught, I happened to make it. How, where are the hotspots, how to, the recommendations inside, I gave the way the projects were told. Similarly, I happened to bring out to the professors, and they were really mesmerized, saying that how as an defense personnel, you develop this art of machine learning and getting into the actual objective, like there where ML can help you in decision making or recommendations or insights, which it gives you the resources which were used, or how to relocate the resources from various country when the cyber crimes increases, where is the hotspots, which country. That way I made a complete correlation matrix along to the way it was taught in Scalar. It came out quite handy to me. And one other professor also told me that, can you do a doctorate with us, where they were making a AI tool or something called marketing companion. So there are, once you start showing your interest, you'll start developing it. And but the effort should be daily. By say you, if you're doing coding, do it. Then start upgrading. How our Scala instructors have been telling, participate in various competitions. Like in L&T also, we have got various competitions of Technocrat where you have coding and you'll see this. And take the data set from Kaggle, make a model, improvise it. You'll start loving the subject. And now I'm not finding, because my main role has not changed. Otherwise, it is a very interesting part where there has to be no naga. And don't keep looking for a result. If you don't get used, if expectations are too high, you get demoralized and you stop working next day. Continuously doing, believe in the process, ends will meet. Don't start looking कि मेरे को अभी job क्यों नहीं मिल रहा. It will come. Everybody will get a job. They'll get it. Some will get early, somebody will get late. But the fundamentals are strong. You will only improve. It's not only first job. You have to subsequently sustain for 20, 25 years, 30 years in the job also field, where you'll realize you're not interested, but your fundamentals are strong, automatically you get skilled up. And if you, by God, if you do Scalar itself, it is good enough to take that at least 2 hours of every day, 2 hours you need to put in. You cannot just leave. If you're copying any projects or assignment, then you'll easily pass through with a degree. But if you justify whatever Scalar is doing itself is good enough to get you a skill up, I should do to any of the level. I've seen the software engineers which we are hiring. I'm sure if our learners are, doing a dedicated job, they'll be way ahead. But without any Naga, that's all.
Very helpful. Next question I'll pick up from Piyush. So Piyush's question is that as a young engineer, say someone with few years of experience, and if someone wants to, what I understand from Piyush's question is that if someone wants to make a career in defense technology, let's say someone who is super keen to join L&T Defense Tech Department as a young engineer, apart from the key skills that probably might be already in the part of data science curriculum of Scalar, what would be your advice? What other areas should they also try to focus to build on?
See, I've seen L&T Defense. Now, it is not easy to get into it because whatever GET we have got, graduation entry personnel, they are, whether you like it or not, they are IITs, NITs followed by IIMs. So, yes, it is easy to, you might get absorbed. People got it from third tier, this also engineering college, but the general branding or, weeding out has been, like McKinsey and all, they'll go for I'm the one and pick up first two. So suddenly if you want to make yourself visible, then it can be only via LinkedIn making projects, or you should have done well in life. I should say that put in a lot of efforts from your 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, got into NIT or somewhere and then move. If you have not done it, then other way of showing yourself is via LinkedIn. I'll be very frank, LinkedIn is I got picked up through LinkedIn. My one post was seen by it. So you have to show your projects. I've seen a couple of learners are doing that. You have done this. Our projects itself can show, visibility. And people are watching in LinkedIn. I'm being very frank. A couple of my colleagues also got picked up, though at a higher level. And at higher level, it is more difficult. It's a total pyramidal structure. At a level where you are slightly fresher, it's a pyramid. The probability of getting it much faster, but you have to market yourself. I'll be very frank. And the marketing has to be how you're making yourself visible. You'll see first your post or impressions are very less. Read in YouTube how to make yourself visible. I cannot now start taking LinkedIn this, but it made me a different subject. There where you can showcase yourself. Hirings, it's a crest and trough. You cannot say that it will be no hiring throughout the next 5 years. There would be some down, but there will be upgrade. It's like a stock, up, down will keep happening. Wait for your chance. Be patient. Keep upskilling. Keep doing projects meanwhile. Show your, learnings. Have engine ideas. See the previous Kaggle, how the projects have been done. Put it in your resume. Things will change. Believe in yourself. Things will be marketed. You will be getting selected.
Funny, I believe your question is covered already with what Vivek just shared, which is ensure that build high quality projects, ensure that you showcase them as like there has to be strong product and then there has to be strong marketing. Of course, only marketing without product also has no value. So make sure that your skills are strong, you have built high quality projects, you are writing high quality articles, and make sure that you publish them at places where they are highly visible.
Abhimanyu, I'll also request people to use LinkedIn in a proper manner. They stop losing they lose the trust on this platform. It is very powerful. You connect up with people, use AI, use ChatGPT, use a language which is very soothing, that it interests. People will connect us. Send the messages to them that these are your product. It is supply and demand. If demand is very less and supply is high, you have to make an effort and use the there you see in the YouTube how they say that you need not connect to the primary connect whom you want to connect. You can connect to the secondary connect and connect to the primary connect if you want to get into someone to say your CV. So check in YouTube how nicely they've explained. If required, I'll share with Tanisha or someone that which are the portals where you can use these methods of connections, and it is actually very powerful. Where you have not got an IIT and IIM stamp, that's what I'm saying. If you realize later on that you have to do well, still there are means and method to market yourself.
I can add a little bit from the, when, as much I interact with them, employers. Ultimately, anyone who is trying to find talent for their team they would want to make sure that the talent has shown some spark in their life. Now,
Very
for
true.
some, that spark might come across that they worked really hard when they were in their 12th class and got into, say, IIT Bombay, or let's say someone who got into NDA, right?
Very true.
For someone else, the spark might come little later, right? But you have to
Very true.
showcase some spark. Now, while of course everyone cannot and would not go to an IIT or IIM, but even others can show that spark in the form of high quality projects that you have built. Even
Perfect.
some of you use LinkedIn very well, and fortunately, 20 years back probably it was a linear race that if you do not show spark early in your life, there are much lesser opportunity to show later. But
Very
today the
true.
world has changed, so
Very
we
true.
should leverage that fully. Uh,
Very rightly brought out, sir. Just by Abhimanyu, just by having a degree, nobody is going to take you. You'll see the amount of filtration or attrition it happens, or the interviews are humongous. Even I happen to give 2 days of complete interview. It is not that I'm a defense officer, somebody will take you. They will surely generate what business value you will get it to him, or what skill sets you are going to get. So very, very rightly brought out. If your skill sets are strong, you have done projects, by God, where you have developed a skill, they'll pick you. I'm seeing hiring happening beside me, I'm telling you. But it is a very, very stringent questioning, and he's not going to take for the everything is costing. They take what is the cost to the company which you are going to affect if you are hiring. So he's also going to choose an HR. Main purpose is that to have the best person with minimum amount. His existence is that. I mean, that you'll know much better than me. But I see now how the company runs, and I'm finding it. There's a stringent qualification set or the hiring criteria which and they
And
take
which is a good thing.
and
Which is
they
a
take
good thing because a company which is not focusing on that company will not survive. That company will not survive. That perform. So you do not even want to join a company where they are hiring people without for example, even for the armed forces, we all know how difficult it is. We all know how difficult it is. Given the criticality that armed forces have, it's important that only best people get
very
it.
true, very true.
The organizations as well.
And the best cannot be on the starting. The best has to continue keep working every day. Like if I have to learn Python at 20th year of my career and I didn't leave it, a lot of people said, why are you getting into the coding? But it helped me when my interview was happening. Where data-driven decisions, questions were asked, qualities were there. It was helping me there. That time I didn't think what will it benefit me or what fruits I'm going to generate. My again urge to everyone is don't start looking what will be the result. That doesn't serve. You start believing the process or results will come. That is what my two liners are there for the learners.
So Bikram's question is on interviews, because you were talking about the interviews itself. That like I will share my opinion on it, but would first love to hear your thoughts. That during a technical interview, did you feel or do you believe that the hiring process that you oversee, do you feel that the candidate has to give 100% accuracy on all the questions, or what is really interviewer looking for when they are asking a technical question to a candidate?
See, this question I've seen many times in various ways. Our interviewer is going to see your skill set. How are you thinking? What is your approach? He is not expecting, um, the 100% of syntax and all. He is going to see your approach, which we have seen in our Scalar also. The mentors and interviewers have been, harping upon it. Uh, because I'll tell you, one of my counterpart, or I should say colleague, who's been hiring a lot of people, have come out that I asked him, what are you looking at? He said, sir, I am looking at his approach, skill set, and drive. Whether he will give up or he still continuously effort, because nobody's perfect. But if you have will and the attitude and aptitude, you'll get picked up. I'm telling you. You give up, you might be very good, he'll not like you. But the moment you are showing the aptitude, you're trying and getting it, you might not get perfect, but uh, he'll see your approach. Obviously you cannot be blank from the day one. The question is, you cannot be totally blank, but how you're approaching, he might give you one hint. Again, what is your approach? That approach is more important. And I'm being very frank to you, I've been a GTO also. This is not something new, and a hirer is not something doing new in your thought process. I'm a GTO. GTO is officer assessing, uh, you know for a SSB, we call it, for NDA or any other places. service selection board, you have you assess how a person has to be taken in or taken out. So a person doing 100, I should say, 10 kilometers in some half an hour is not going to be picked up. Nobody's seeing your physical, but we see how is he approaching the things. Same thing when I asked Kalpesh, who was hiring on our behalf for the designers and DevOps team. He also brought out, sir, I am just on keen ki uska skill set kya aur wo give up karta hai ki nahi, approach kya de raha hai wo. And it matters. Slowly, nobody knows the moment he tells you, and then you have to finally work with some guidance of his. You cannot be day one mein a great guy. He'll keep giving you inputs. He's himself got 14, 15 years experience. So he keeps telling you how to approach, how to crack the codes, how to continuously do. But then you have to show a result. He doesn't expect from the day one that you'll be technocrat on the, complete, a very niche field. The fields, whichever are there, niche field, they need some guidance. So he'll give you a problem set he expects you to do and how fast you do, whether you leave it or not, or you take inputs. That is what he or anybody looks at. And it's a fundamental thing. Any hirer, he looks more for an attitude and aptitude, the approach, what the guy has got. And learning curves will keep going on. Tomorrow you're 10 years, you'll be much more learned guy. If you have 2 years, you'll be less learned. So everybody cannot be 10 years and, get a skill set of that nature. Finally, a child doesn't come with learnings throughout. No, he slowly gets matured. And slowly when you're in the team, you'll slowly keep getting matured and you'll become a fresher, say experienced guy. And new fresher will come. The system will keep running. The fundamentals are for behavioral, is a different thing where you have to have that attitude and aptitude. That's all from my side.
To that, Vikram, that unlike our traditional education system often prepares us to give questions and answers, that I have to memorize answers and then there's an exam and I just have to write the answers. In the real world, however, that is not really what anyone is looking for. Right? In the interviews as well, even when they're asking a technical question, they want to see that first, can you understand the question very clearly? And if there is any ambiguity there, can you ask follow-up questions to clarify that, right? Second, they want to look at your thinking process. How do you think? How do you break down the problem? And as Vivek sir was also saying, that it's not about that whether you are able to get to the correct answer in the first go or how quickly you get to that. But do you give up or do you keep trying? It's okay to even take some hints if needed, right? Because even at the workplace, every day you will be needed to ask a new problem that you have never seen before. So the idea is that how do you tackle that? How do you try to find patterns in the problem? How do you gather more information? And how do you keep trying to solve the problem to get to high accuracy with high precision? That is what you need to be doing at the job also in any high-tech company. And that is why the interviewer is also seeking that. They are not seeking that I'll just give you the question and immediately you have to give me the perfect answer. Rather, they want to see how you think. One very powerful tool generally in the interviews is that always keep saying what you are thinking, because ultimately they are interested in seeing your thinking process, not just whether you can blurt out the answer immediately or not. Vivek, I would, before we conclude the session, I have this one question to ask you, because this is something that I am personally very fascinated by. That how do you see, having seen the defense ecosystem for decades and now also having learned data science, cutting edge technologies, there are LLMs, there is very advanced intelligence that is getting developed, right? Today, I think we already see almost artificial general intelligence might not be there, but it is almost getting close to there. Turing test, which is identifying a system to be indistinguishable from a human responses, is getting close and close. Right? There are even companies like, I think Anduril is one company in US which has been building autonomous submarines, autonomous fighter jets, not just a drone, remotely operated drone, but drones and submarines which can even take tactical decisions on their own using AI in real warfare. How do you see the warfare and the kind of be it aircrafts, be it fighter jets, be it submarines, would evolve probably in 10 to 20 years? While of course it is very hard to predict accurately, But if I just ask you to, be imaginative, and with the recent changes that we have seen in AI, how do you see the technology, the war technology ecosystem evolving in next 5, 10, or 20 years?
This is a good question. Like you told about US, even the L&T Defense is doing this. There is a design efforts, though it is kept quite confidential. Uh,
Right.
yes, with AI, there's always a fear that how much will you give intelligence to it? Because the more you are making it intelligent, it might take the human place itself.
Right.
Things are becoming intelligent. We have uh, various unmanned boats, unmanned underwater vessels, which are being deployed or would be deployed in future. Uh, what I foresee is when it comes to weapon of mass destruction, it will not be left on AI.
Right.
It will not be left on AI. I'm very sure that humans are much above the AI, because we are the ones who are making. We might become, individualistic in the sense we might not, interact with the teams. We might interact with machines more in next 10 to 12 years or 10 to 20 years, where we are using machines more, becoming efficient, uh, uh, more efficient in cost saving. We can be more potent in the weapon orientation.
Right.
uh, but when it comes to launches,
Right.
a decision will not be left on weapon. I'm very sure about it. It has to be somebody who is validating before, you know uh, launch of the weapon. Unlike
Right.
any e-commerce websites that we talk about, Amazon, only it doesn't have a, the repercussions are not very high. If I have to launch a nuclear missile, it cannot be left on a machine. It cannot
Right.
be left. There has to be a decision matrix who's validating the decision matrix of AI.
Right.
Finally, everything is through a matrix or a
Right.
measure, and the confidence level you generate over this. So AI also will have some confidence level, which which will be for a lesser, costing. I'm talking about whether it's the finance, the
Right.
amount which is there, or suppose I have to take a decision on $10 billion. I'll not be left on one AI to do it. It will not.
Right. Right.
Or whether 20 years, 20, 30 years, till the time human are there, uh, we might dilute the level of the decision making, depend on the costing and the lives probably, but the overarching decision making for uh, the the uh, the overall, the level of, like, I'll tell you in the layman term, if I'm not able to, if I'm confusing the issue. You might take the decision of 10 rupees and leave it on a machine.
Hmm.
After some years it might be 100 rupees. After
Right.
some years it may be 1000 rupees. But when it comes to billions of dollars, it will not be left on AI.
Absolutely.
Similarly, of the lives also.
Right.
Yes, human life takes priority over things. So the final, it cannot be left on a machine to fire it. The,
Right.
the validation will be done by human. I am very sure about it. Because we have remote, I cannot tell you what advances even L&T Defense is doing over the design aspects. We have remote vessels which can lure, but it cannot be left on itself to go and destroy a ship. Like
Right.
now, people are having unmanned boats, unmanned vessels down below. We have made it. We are making it. So it cannot be left. The final input has to be given by the human, whether it is a drone, whether we take it, or surface, or air, or the underwater. Uh, it 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 would require a
Right.
last call of a man.
So probably surveillance vessels, reconnaissance, or etc., might get automated sooner, and
Perfect.
maybe right, and
Perfect.
lesser personals might be deployed in those
Yeah.
dangerous situations. Rather than today, probably a large personal team has to be deployed just to take care of everything. But then more and more things get automated, and that team deployed on vessels might get smaller because now a lot of things machines can do.
Yeah, very, very rightly brought out. In fact, you summed it quite well. When it comes to surveillance, reconnaissance, shadowing, those all things where you're not launching weapons or, having a heavy this, you'll have AI with much more efficient way of usage. But when it comes to decisions which have got heavy costings,
Right.
financial implications,
Right.
human lives, you
Right.
will have a human.
Right.
I'll tell you a short thing before we wind up. Like, for a commanding officer, I'll tell you, whatever sonars we have got, at least France are 20-25 years ahead of in sonar. Still, their doctrines demand that the CEO comes peep up once before launching a weapon. You have best of the sonars, best of artificial intelligence telling you that this is the ship or this is the target. But still, whether it is Russians who are very advanced in the submarines, or the Frenchies who are very advanced in the sonars, or the US Navy, they all have the doctrines or the policies that the final look will be by commanding officer prior to launch of a missile or the weapon. You can, the decision of launching is the final his. Inputs can be given through tools by machine learning, AI, but the call will not be given to machine. I'm sure about it. We'll talk after 20 years of if possible.
Right.
You might prove it wrong that time. I don't know how confident we can make a machine. But I'm sure we had a discussion with one odd instructor where he said that 100% has that statistics. I said, sir, never it will reach 100%, a bell curve. And there will be error of dilemma 0.00001 when it comes to any probability of hit. And that cannot be left it on a machine mind. That's all.
No, very interesting, Vivek sir. Fascinating session. I'm sure it was very interesting and great inputs, great guidance from you to all the learners about how to take life in general, right? So your journey has been inspiring. Thank you for your service to the nation, to all of us, and thank you for taking this session. Very, very valuable. I'm always left in awe with the scalar learners community, and I think there is a certain selection bias here as well, that people who end up here definitely have exhibited certain traits of self-improvement. That is why they are here. So I'm always left impressed and in awe by people that I find myself very fortunate to come across all of you on this journey. So all the best on your new corporate journey with L&T, Vivek sir. I look forward to keep hearing fantastic stories that keep coming. And all the best to everyone in audience today. Hoping to see you on the other side of the table in the coming months and years, and sharing similar insights with other learners. Thank you so much.
Abhimanyu, I like to interrupt you and say one more minute word of mine
Please.
Regarding Scalar. Scalar is one of the best platform. I'm not marketing it to you, but I'm just telling because I've done enough research prior to investing my 1.5 years of after maturity of 20 years experience. I wanted to invest it properly. That's how I switched over from upgrad to Scalar. If you use it properly, it is the best platform. I would say it might not grow like Great Lakes or big this, but you are doing a fantastic job and the instructors are superb. Some instructors like Sachin and all, I would really, they are really, really dedicated. They don't stick to 2 hours. They keep teaching us, keep clearing our doubts, sometimes more than 12 o'clock in the night also. So I am very happy to see the dedication of your team, and good luck to you. And I'm privileged to have a co-founder interview me and in this platform where I'm learning from. Thank you very much, Mr. Abhimanyu.
Fantastic, Vivek sir. It means a lot coming from you. So thank you, and we keep pushing our best to ensure the best learning experience for all the learners. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you.
Check out Scalar's masterclass by industry leading experts only on Scalar's event page. Link is in the description below.